Welcome back, brothers and sisters. In today's video, we are clearly doing something very different. We are going to play, well, I am going to play some solo D&D using a map for my upcoming Kickstarter, The Doomed Stronghold. If you haven't heard about it, it's a zine. It's launching in February. It's going to be all about different types of strongholds. It's going to have tables to get, in this case, an Arctic stronghold. It's going to have jungle strongholds, city strongholds. It's going to have tables for the people you can employ in your stronghold, the dungeons beneath it, all kinds of crazy tables to, and cool art to make a campaign basically themed around a doomed stronghold. And today I wanted to do two things. One, I wanted to show off some of the art and the ideas that were going to be in that zine. And two, show how I like to kind of run D&D, and it is way too much work to do a live play with a group of people and do all the coordinated scheduling and stuff, so I thought I would just take a swing at doing it all by myself. So, if you are excited about the Kickstarter, you can go follow that. There's a link to the pre-launch page down in the description. Then you'll get notified right when it goes live. You can be one of the first backers. There will be a discounted tier. And if you wouldn't mind leaving a like to pay your hobby tithing, that would be much appreciated. But that's all I've got for the intro. Let us pray. So our adventure today is taking place at Skyglacier Keep. It is a rumored stronghold that is a giant iceberg, a chunk of Arctic ice that was lifted up out of the waters by hot air balloons, by some wizard or a brilliant artificer of some type long, long ago. And when they disappeared, it has just been drifting through the Arctic ice for many, many years. And our heroes, who I will kind of introduce them here in a moment down here, they have heard of Skyglacier Keep, and they have set out in their canoe together to claim it as their own stronghold and make it their base of operations from which they'll launch all kinds of different adventures and things in the future. Now, who is our party? Well, we have got Toot, and he has no surname or no cool title because he is a hermited ranger who says very little except a little couple toots from his flute or whatever instrument he might have, or I imagine he maybe speaks in like a really high-pitched voice, just a goofy little thing for his character maybe, but he is a ranger. Then we have got Arthur Proudsword, who is our paladin. He is a knight of the Holy Urchin. He has like, you can see I've kind of kit bashed this guy from a cool Inquisitor looking model. He's got this big halo over his back, which I imagine is kind of what functions as his shield. When he, when he is at risk of taking damage, that thing flares with holy light and maybe boosts his AC a little bit. But he is sworn to a quest to go purge the lands of the enemies of the Church of Doom. So that's Arthur there. And then we've got Wiccan Gothfog. She is a warlock who has made a pact, I imagine, with like some sort of god or goddess of death, and maybe this vulture that is perched on her shoulder is kind of how she communes with that deity. It doesn't really function as like familiar quite yet, but maybe at some point it will become a real one. So maybe only she can see this vulture, and she's kind of talking to herself all the time. But that is our party. They're all level 1. I've got them pre-made in D&D Beyond. I'm just going to kind of be, if you see me looking off to the side, that's because I'm looking at their character sheets. But this video is not going to be all about like showing you every in and out of D&D Beyond or, the back end of a lot of that stuff. I simply want to do some cool descriptions and play through a little mini adventure, a little mini encounter. So that's our party. Coming back to our map though, right? So we're on our canoe. We are arriving in some sort of small Arctic bay enveloped by all this ice. And I think our party has heard rumors that there are frost goblins or Arctic goblins that dwell here in this part of the tundra. And thankfully they have not been able to maybe get their hands on Skyglacier Keep, but they are definitely in the area. So, as our canoe drifts across the cold Arctic waters, Arthur and Toot paddling at the head, just letting their paddles silently dip into the frigid waters, keeping a close watch for leopard seals or the dreaded killer whales said to dwell here. And as we come out around this bend of ice, I think Toot kind of makes a little whistle and holds his hand up and points through a bit of cool fog. Well, maybe it's early in the morning. And up ahead on a bit of a glacier drifting into the bay is a small band of, I have 3 there, but I think it would be more interesting to roll this. I'm going to make it a D8. There are 5 frost goblins. Let's add 2 more. And what are they doing here? I think it's pretty obvious. They are all gathered around a mother leopard seal that they've managed to throw their spears down and kill it and bring it up onto the ice. But not only that, there's probably a baby seal up there that they're just clubbing. We'll say maybe this one is just clubbing this baby seal with its cruel, evil goblin demeanor. And all of these goblins, I imagine, you can see I've got just this other random mini thrown in there. I imagine they wear like big, huge masks that maybe look like what they believe leopard seals look like. Maybe they're even like, that's something about their tribe. They're all themed around leopard seals. So they wear these blubbery, I guess, yeah, leopard seals have blubber, I think, but they've got their furs and pelts and blubber that make up their thick armor and keep them warm out here in the Arctic conditions. All the different bones that they take from these seals, they kind of drape down on their bodies as maybe sacred little religious tomes. And some of those could also be daggers that they can use to throw at our party if we were to get into some combat here. But I think for right now, Toot is going to try and guide the canoe calmly and quietly through this morning fog and hopefully not alert the frost goblins. Now, I don't think this is just a single check sort of deal. I think this is going to require I'm going to make it a skill challenge. So typically in my game, what that means is you got to get, 2 successes before 2 failures. Best 2 out of 3 sort of deal. So Toot has what does he got in stealth? He's got a +5. So maybe he'll even tell the rest of the party, like, he'll kind of put his hands down, like make this gesture, and Arthur and Wiccan will lay down as close as they can in their seats, and maybe Toot is going to make it look like, oh, actually, no, I changed my mind. Toot is going to tell Arthur to stand up, or like sit up very straight and kind of lean back a little bit, so that from the side, if I can kind of show this in the camera, he'll give the illusion, or he'll make it look like this canoe is a killer whale kind of coming up, breaching the water. So Toot's going to be very low, Wiccan's going to be very low, and they're going to just try and move past. So our first check, DC here, I'm going to say the goblins are pretty distracted, so we're only going to need to beat like a 12 here. That is a 6 + 5 is an 11. So that is a failure. So maybe this first goblin up here kind of barks at the others behind it. And maybe they even speak sort of like seals, making a weird little sound. And they're all going to start pointing and see what vaguely looks like the shape of a killer whale. I don't think that we haven't blown our cover yet, right? Best 2 out of 3 here. But they've definitely noticed, like, hey, there might be a killer whale out there. Let's roll this again. 17 + 5. That will be a success. I think Toot is going to pull out one of his little flutes and or some sort of instrument, and he will make a close enough impersonation of a killer whale sound. Or maybe he'll even make it sound like a blowhole, just blowing water up, and he'll kind of splash his paddle to make water go up in the air to almost kind of intimidate these frost goblins and make them a little spooked. So a few of them maybe kind of get to higher ground, scampering up this a little bit of iceberg. And I guess I should be moving our party, right? So we've been gliding across the bay here. We're maybe just beneath Skyglacier Keep itself. If I zoom in a little bit, I just want to show you some of the fun details here. So it's a big chunk of ice that has a bunch of windows and things to represent the different interior halls and chambers and levels it might have. These hot air balloons up at the front are just constantly blowing up plumes of fire to keep the balloons full. Where does that fire come from? How has it been floating all this time? We'll have to get inside to find out, I suppose, in a future adventure maybe. But then down here is the door with a rope ladder, and then that's what I imagine is like a Yeti skull mounted over the front door. But as we're drifting below, maybe a few kind of driplets of water fall down from these icicles and splash along our canoe. But we're going to make one more check here to see if Toot can I think he'll blow even harder into his instrument to really make it sound like a killer whale's, like, I don't know what sound a killer whale makes, but he'll try and do one here. No, that is a 4 + 5 is 9. That is not going to do it. So the frost goblins, we're going to say, like, as they got up to higher ground, they definitely were able to see into the canoe itself and recognize it's just a bunch of adventurers making their way towards them. So we're going to have to roll some initiative here. So to keep this simple, I think I'm just going to have my 3 adventurers roll, and if they get a 12 or higher, they'll go before the goblins. If they get a 12 or lower, they're going to go after the goblins. And if you haven't been able to tell yet, I just kind of like to wing this sort of stuff. I think that's what's fun about D&D, is you just make what seems like the fairest ruling you possibly can in the moment, and you just go with it. So Toot is going to roll his dexterity. He gets a 9 plus 3, so a 12. He will be before the goblins. Let's go to Wiccan Gothfog. She is going to get a natural 20, so she will definitely be first. And I'm going to probably give her a little bump on something because of the nat 20 on her initiative. And Arthur Proudsword, he rolls a 15, plus 1 is a 16, so he will also be first. So Toot is maybe needing to put some of these instruments away, and the boat is starting to rock as Arthur and Wiccan are drawing their weapons and getting ready for battle. And that's what's going to cause him to be a little bit behind. All right, I'm going to take a quick pause here, double check some notes I have on these goblins, and also make sure that this is recording properly, and then I'm going to jump back into it. All right, I have got our initiative figured out. Wiccan is going to be up first, and I imagine with Wiccan, when she speaks, because her name is Gothfog, I think like wisps of ethereal greenish fog kind of spill out of not just her mouth, but maybe even out of her eyes. Like her eyes kind of roll back whenever she casts spells, and that's where her name Gothfog has come from. So seeing that these goblins have been alerted, she's going to start casting a spell, and because she's a warlock, her one of her invocations allows her to cast mage armor without spending one of her spell slots. So what mage armor for her is going to look like is as this fog spills out of her mouth, it envelops her, and it doesn't necessarily make her more resilient, it just makes her harder to hit, because this fog has like ghostly, maybe it's just like actual ghosts kind of wisping through it every once in a while, and so it's hard to tell like which one is Wiccan, which one is one of her ethereal guardians. So that is what Wiccan is going to do as she holds up her staff with an orb set into the top of it, and that will be it for her. I think each of them can use a little bit of their movement to kind of push. Actually, I'll make it maybe an athletics check. Each character can attempt to move the canoe a little bit forward, and I think even Arthur's going to shout out, "Get me close to these goblins!" And Wiccan is going to start paddling for the end of her turn. We'll just make it a DC 10 athletics check. She has a +0 in this, so just a straight up roll. That is a 6. So Arthur kind of barks this order and looks over his shoulder and, God damn it! And you can see Wiccan's eyes are rolled back as she's casting the spell. So that will be it for Wiccan. It's going to go to Arthur's turn. And he will use the start of his move. I think he's going to try and get the boat right up to here if he can. So as part of his movement, he'll make that same check. Ooh, he rolled a 6 as well, but hopefully he has a much better athletics. He has a +5, so that will get it to an 11, so that will succeed. So, to end his movement, I think Arthur's going to just give it 2 big rows and kind of send the front of the canoe up onto this ice. Maybe even Toot kind of makes a little panicked sound as the whole thing threatens to tip. And then with the end of his movement, he will throw himself out onto the glacier and draw his longsword. "Come and get some!" And he'll yell up to the frost goblins as a bit of a holy glow appears around him. So he's definitely going to take point. I think with his action, will he just dash? I think he might, unless what kind of spell? Does he have anything that could be helpful here? He could cast command, but they're probably going to all come running down at him anyway. So instead, he will cast Divine Favor. So it's a bonus action. Well, that's helpful. It lasts for a minute, and until the spell ends, your attacks with weapons deal an extra 1d4 radiant damage. So as he lands on this glacier, as he draws his longsword, he holds it in front of him, and he recites a prayer to the great heavenly urchin above to give him the strength to smite down their foes. And I think his blade will erupt in green fire. So that is his movement. That is his bonus action. As his action, he's gonna dash, charging up the ice. However, this I think is a good moment to remember that this is ice. There is a good chance that he could slip. I think he's gonna have to make a DC. Let's make it a 12. I think a DC 12 acrobatics check to maintain his balance. Now he has what does he have to acrobatics? Why do I not even see it on his sheet? Well, he might just get there it is. He has a +1. So we gotta beat a 12 or he will slip. That's a nat 1. Oh no. So Arthur has, with his burning blade and prayers of a zealous crusade on his lips, begins to charge forward and just completely loses his balance. And I'm going to say he needs to make a dex save now, a DC 12 dex save, to avoid falling into the water, because it's a very slippery glacial iceberg. Oh my god, all these characters might die before we even get to the keep, but who cares, right? That's okay, 16 + 1, he will save. So as he's kind of sliding, he'll send his sword down in the ice, he'll crack it in, and that'll be kind of his handhold, so he doesn't fully fall in, but he is in trouble for sure as he's hanging on for dear life because the frost goblins are up. We'll maybe make one of these guys a little bit bigger. This will be kind of the boss of these goblins, the little leader, and he'll bark out some sea goblin commands, and I think they're gonna send 2 forward to fight Arthur. Now, here's a question. Are these goblins specially equipped? If they traverse this area, do they have like special boots that keep them on their feet easier than foolish heroes who just, come running in here trying to kill them? I'm going to say there's probably a good chance that they do. I'm going to roll a d6 on a 1 or a 2. No, they just have normal goblin feet and boots and they just move extra cautiously. But on a 3, 4, 5, 6, yes, they do have special boots. That is a 4. So I'm going to say they don't need to make checks. They can traverse this ice no problem, which is even worse for our heroes. So 2 of the goblins are going to come running down. They already have their hunting knives drawn. Maybe they're these big icicle-looking blades made of cold steel that they're going to try and take out this character with. And the rest are going to take a firing position up top with their bows, so they'll use their bonus action to draw those out and take some shots at our characters still in the canoe. So let's roll for these first 2 goblins that are going to take a swing at Arthur. I'm just going to, for the sake of simplicity and being kind of solo play, right, I'm going to just roll them 1 check each and give them, well, I guess we can maybe see. I have their stat block pulled up. What the hell am I talking about, right? Okay, they don't have pack tactics. I don't know why I thought they did. I was a little worried about that for a moment. But 2 attacks. We've got a 15 and a 6. The 6 will definitely miss, but the 15 with their modifier will hit. I am going to lower the damage just a little bit because I don't want to kill our characters outright in this little fun adventure for us. So I'm going to make it a d4 instead of a d6. This goblin, oh, of course, I roll a 4. So Arthur is going to suffer 6 points of damage. He has 14 hit points to begin with. Here, let's do it this way, just so we can all kind of see it together. So 14 out of 14, but he just took 6 points of damage, so he's down to 8 hit points. Oh my gosh, he almost lost half of his HP already as he's kind of like throws a hand up to try and pull himself up the ice. One of these goblins is going to stab it down through his hand, and Arthur's going to rage and bring out his sword. I think even in this moment, despite being in terrible pain, this spiked hand into the ice is now going to be his new handhold so that he can draw his sword and swing with it anyways on his next turn. The other goblin, we'll say, kind of misses a little bit of their step, or when Arthur brings his sword back, that goblin gets a little spooked and brings theirs up to try and like parry the blow. So those were those 2 goblins. Let's do the smaller other 2 up here that are going to take some bow shots. Or maybe, do they have slings? I think it doesn't really matter, honestly. But I like the idea that they have slings. Maybe they use these to crack ice. They can hit icicles with it or cause little avalanches or things with the snow with these slings instead of just a bow, right? Because they probably have like spears and things for hunting. Oh, hey, there's an idea. One of them's going to use a sling. One of them's going to throw a hunting spear at these characters. So, first one's going to throw at Toot. They have a +4 to hit. 15 plus 4, that is a 19, that will hit. Again, I'm going to lower the damage down from a d6 to a d4, just so we don't lose our party. That is a 1 plus 2, so 3 points of damage to Toot. And Toot has 12 HP to begin with, so he will now be down to 10 HP. So 10 out of 12. And we'll say that first goblin kind of brings back their bow or their spear, and maybe it even has, like, instead of feathers hanging from the front of it as decorative parts, it has like a leopard seal's fin that's hanging off of it. And the spear, of course, isn't made of metal. It's made of like a walrus tusk or a narwhal tusk. It's gonna throw it, and Toot is like just starting to get up out of the seat, and is gonna just have to duck again rapidly, but it's gonna kind of graze off of his shoulder, not doing too much damage thanks to his armor. The other one is going to start bringing their sling up, and maybe has here's a cool idea. What if they use like leopard seal teeth? Which, if you've ever seen like leopard seal teeth, they're super bizarre looking. And so maybe they're almost like acting like caltrops. He's throwing this spiked little leopard seal tooth at Wiccan in the back, who does have a bonus to their AC. So they now have an AC of, what does mage armor do? Bumps you up to your AC becomes 13 plus your dexterity modifier. So, oh sweet, so they went from a 13 to a 15. Let's roll for this goblin. That's a 19 on the roll, so they're definitely going to hit and do 1d4 damage. A 1 again plus 2, so 3 points of damage to Wiccan, who only has 7 HP. She is very weak. That's not good. Okay, so 4 out of 7 HP. So as Wiccan's eyes kind of roll back forward in her head. It's just in time for this caltripped leopard seal tooth to crack her in the forehead. Some of the ghosts like whoa, get blown away. It's like a very anime moment of like the sonic kind of blast hit, and concussive force will knock her head back. She might almost kind of like get knocked out of her seat a little bit. She won't actually, but that's a pretty severe amount of damage to her. But that is 2 of the goblins up front, 2 of the warriors in the back with their bows and spears. I think, what is our last goblin gonna do? I think he probably has like a big spiked club. He's a bit of a brute, and it's filled with leopard seal teeth, walrus tusks, anything sharp that he's jammed up into it, maybe frozen in there with ice. What is he gonna do? Is he going to charge in and fight Arthur? No, I think I'm gonna give him a little cool ability. I'm gonna let him, as an action, bark an order at one of the other goblins, and they'll be able to take another attack. So the one that's kind of cowering with his little dagger as Arthur's getting ready to swing, this big brute goblin is gonna growl at him, snarl, and point his big club at Arthur and force this goblin to make another attack. That is only a 6 though, so the frost goblin's gonna like maybe close their eyes and just swing wildly, and it just glances off of Arthur's pauldron, and he's going to kind of grit his teeth as he starts smiling and standing up, reciting a prayer of mercy upon his foes for the swift death he's about to put upon them. All right, that is it for the goblins in the first round. I'm wondering, thinking in my head, maybe if they survive to the end of the next round, well, they probably will survive. We'll see though. But if they survive a whole nother round, we'll have to see, like, do they have reinforcements? Like, maybe are there more frost goblins on the other side of this glacier, and this is just a little scouting party that's been sent? That could be pretty dramatic. But at the end of the round, it is Toot. What is Toot, our ranger, gonna do? He could take some attacks, but I think we kind of need to help with some positioning here. Does he have a spell that could help? He's got Thunderclap, Cure Wounds, Fog Cloud, Hunter's Mark, Jump, and Message. Some of those are cantrips. Fog Cloud probably honestly would have been helpful at the very beginning if I thought about it, but don't want to waste a spell when you could have done his little clever killer whale disguise. I think he might just use his... First of all, he's going to try and use his movement, I think, to try and get the canoe from where Arthur had kind of rushed them forward right here. I think he wants to try and get over to here so that they can start fighting these guys. So he will do a little bit of his movement. He'll have to make, I think, we'll lower the... No, we'll keep it at 10. DC 10 athletics check to push off of the ice and get rowing again. That is a 19. That will absolutely do it. So as Wiccan is just starting to kind of get their senses back, they're pushed off of the boat again and are going to start moving this way. Now, can they get all the way there in one move? I'm going to say yes. It's not a huge amount of space they're trying to cover. So he rams the canoe up. Ooh, this looks... Actually, I hadn't thought about this until I saw it moving here, but kind of looks like he's done a good job of splitting this goblin party in half. So now we've got Wiccan. I'm going to move Wiccan up just a little bit so they're not overlapping too much. But Wiccan and Toot are now in the middle, able to kind of engage these goblins, while Arthur can take these two out all on his own, hopefully. So Toot did his movement. He still does have an action. None of his spells are super helpful here. I guess Thunderclap could probably hit one of them. Yeah, sure. We'll go with Thunderclap. What does Thunderclap look like for Toot? I imagine he has taken... Maybe he's got some sort of, like, walrus tusk that he is also collecting. Maybe he's a ranger sort of native to this area. Because if we look at his mini... Let me zoom in a little bit here. He is wearing this, like, cool, interesting, weird mask. He's got this big, thick, long robe. Looks sort of like it could fit in a tundra. So maybe he pulls out a walrus tusk that he is whittled and carved in such a way that when he blows into this, magical runes kind of force the air to blast out far stronger than they ever could with a normal mortal breath. So each creature in a 5-foot emanation... Oh, wait, no, it's 5 foot all around him? Okay, then never mind. He's not going to do that. I don't want to hurt Wiccan. Although she was in the back seat. Okay, we're going to correct that. She will stay in the back because she's not that much in the way. And he would just have probably these... I'll say these 2 goblins are probably in his range. So they're each going to have to make a Constitution saving throw against his save DC of 12. First goblin rolls a 13. Second goblin rolls a 15. Dang it. So they will succeed. So maybe as Toot is like bringing up this magical walrus tusk to recite Thunderclap, this frost goblin just like bellows in this intimidating roar, and maybe even like throws, not his full club, maybe he has like a smaller couple like how you would have like daggers put in it. Oh yeah, like I said, he has these bones kind of hanging, so maybe he just takes a handful of them and hucks them at Toot and just kind of peppers him with not enough to do any damage, but enough to stop him from reciting the spell. And that is going to probably be the end of the first round. So not a lot of no damage basically done to any of the goblins, only damage done to our party, but we have been able to split them up a little bit. So back at the top of the round, Wiccan has regained her wits. She still has mage armor up. What is she gonna do? What are her spells? Wiccan has Eldritch Blast, Mind Sliver, Ray of Frost, Burning Hands. Ooh, I think this is where we need to do Burning Hands, because I was gonna say when I read Ray of Frost, like, ooh, these frost goblins probably are resistant to cold damage, but fire damage, not so much. I don't think I'll say they're vulnerable to fire damage though, but it definitely can like get through their leather armor and seal hides and things. So Wiccan is going to get up and jump out of the canoe. She will have to make an acrobatics check to keep her footing. DC 12. She's got a +2. 16 + 2, 18. So she's good. So she can move her whole movement. I'll probably just put her like right at the end. And as she's kind of walking forward, preparing to cast Burning Hands. Ooh, what does this look like for her? I think the first thing she sees as she begins to recite these magical prayers is that vulture, familiar thing that she had, starts to circle overhead the goblins. They don't even see it, only Wiccan can see it. But as she kind of holds up her staff, she's pointing this orb up at the vulture. The orb begins to like glow red hot. And then as she finishes the prayer of Burning Hands, maybe instead of the fire blasting out from her, just for flavors, just for some fun flavor, maybe the vulture like breathes fire down onto these goblins. I'm going to say they look like they would all be within the range of a Ray of Frost attack or Burning Hands attack. So they're all going to have to make a DC 12 dexterity saving throw. We'll start with the frost goblins up front. The first one, 18 on the roll. The second one, 3. So that one will fail. The other one will just take half damage. Now the goblin boss in the back is going to get a 6, a definite fail. So as he was roaring at Toot and barking, trying to get him to stop casting his spell, maybe Wiccan was taking advantage of that and kind of slipped a little bit low and jumped out from behind this canoe and caught him a little off guard. So 3d6 damage is what Burning Hands is going to do. I've got 2d6 here so far. That's a 1 and a 2. So 3 points of fire damage. Really need this last one to be good. Another 2. So 5 points of fire damage. How much HP does a goblin have? God damn it. They've probably got more than 5. 7 HP. Oh, that sucks. Okay, so shoots fire up through this glacier. Now, here's a question though. Is that enough to maybe melt some of the ice away? I'm going to roll a d4, but I think it's pretty unlikely. So I'm going to make it just on a 4. Yes, it is enough to have melted away some of this ice, and those goblins could risk slipping off into the waters. But on a 1, 2, or 3, no, it wasn't enough. That's a 4. That's a 4. Okay, so let's do the HP real quick. So these goblins took full damage, so 2 out of 7 left. Goblin boss, I'm just going to keep it at 7, but it's just the one in charge, a little bit bigger. And then this one took half damage, half of 5, around down to 2, so it's a 5 out of 7 HP left. Wah, wah. But the ice has just been like where this beam of fire or this burst of fire had fallen out of Wiccan and been melted down from or shot down by her vulture. There's just this like almost like a half, I can't think of a better description than a half pipe, but just hollowed out section of slick, melted, watery ice. So all of those goblins are going to have to make a dex save, I think. We'll make that, I'm going to say it's a DC 14. Maybe I'm helping myself out a little bit here, but that is a lot harder to keep your footing on than just like crunchy, jaggedy, the top of this glacier, right? It's slippery, but not as slippery as just smooth, melted ice. So 2 goblins up front. What do goblins have on their decks? I should have this memorized. How do I not? +2. So, but they are... No bonus to their save with that. Okay, so first one on the left gets a 13. That's going to pass. The one... Or no, I said it was going to be harder, so it's a DC 14. So that one will fail. The one on the right, a 5. So that one will fail. The goblin boss, 10. They all fail. They all fail. Okay. Honestly, we needed that. We needed that big time. So these goblins are going to just start barking and yapping as they splash down into the water. I'm just going to move them all this way. So we're going to have them make some checks to see if they can get back up onto the ice. But very good turn from Wiccan. Moved with their, yeah, movement, action, not much to do with the bonus action, I think, here. So Arthur is going to throw himself up onto the ice. Well, he'll probably need to make a check, actually, I would say. If he failed and he's down there, definitely needs to make a check to get back up. Oh, no. That's a 3. That's a failure. I'm going to say, as Arthur is trying to push himself up onto the ice, the bigger goblin that had kind of clubbed him a bit or done some damage to him is going to put his big boot with these little spikes on it right on his foot and just on his face and push him down into the water. So Arthur sinks down into the water. Okay, this is ironic because I'm pretty sure this is not looking good. I could see all of our characters dying. Don't forget, this is a plug. This is supposed to be plugging Skyglacier Keep, one of the ideas for a stronghold in my upcoming Kickstarter. Go follow that at the pre-launch down below. We might not even get there. Who knows? But Arthur is splashing down in the water. It's kind of seeping in this frigid, cold water. So I think there's definitely going to need to be some sort of constitution save of some kind to avoid any sort of cold damage or like a shock to his system from falling into straight up Arctic waters. So that is another fucking 3. Arthur, you are so screwed, dude. Okay, so yikes. He will probably take a d4 of cold damage, I'm going to say. That's a 4. This is going horribly. So Arthur is like, he has like prayers and zealotry on his lips, but takes a spiked boot to the face and splashes down into the water. Everything kind of starts to go dark, and as he like takes a breath of shock from being hit, he inhales a bunch of this water. So he's down to 4 HP. And is like sinking at risk of drowning in this water. I'm gonna say if you can't get out, let's roll a little. Do we want to make this a timer die? No, I think it makes more sense of just if you're not out of the water. If he fails, how do I want to do this? This is, you're seeing a good moment of at the table where I'm like, should we do it this way? Should we do it this way? I'm gonna say he has 2 rounds. If he's not out of the water in 2 rounds, he's gonna just drown. He's gonna be sunk. Pulled down into this Arctic water in shock, unable to move his body, and he will be a goner. But he used his movement, so he does still have his action. And I think I'm just going to have him just attempt another check here. So I'm going to say it's going to be a bit harder. It's not just a DC 12 to cross the ice. He's now needing to get up out of the water and pull himself out of it. I'm going to say that's a DC 14 athletics check. He does have a +5 though here. Rolled a lot of 3s though. You're going to think I'm lying, but I rolled another 3. Wow. Oh my god. Okay, so Arthur is having a Samwise Gamgee moment, just looking up at where, ooh, here's a cool idea. You know, he's, like I said, he's a knight of the Holy Urchin. As he looks up, maybe as these goblins are kind of looking down at him, the rising morning sun is kind of right over their heads, and they're dotting it out a little bit, and just in the way that the ice and the water's kind of moving, they almost make this sort of urchin-like illusion that he's looking up at and just reaching for. And as he's beginning to drown, maybe he's like grasping at, well, voice crack, he's grasping at the heavens that he hopes to be embraced into, but he's sinking down into the black depths of hell. Those are all the thoughts I could see going through Arthur's head here. Movement, action, bonus action isn't going to help him much here. He's a paladin. He doesn't have any sort of cantrips or things to help him. So Toot, as I think, is going to just kind of like start blaring on his instruments as he sees Arthur going down. It's not Toot's turn yet, but he's just going to let Wiccan know, hey, we got a problem over here while these goblins are still trying to get back up. So Wiccan is gone. Arthur is gone. Frost goblins are up. These two that are kind of like maybe grabbing at each other and laughing and pointing down at Arthur, watching him drown, are going to then turn their attentions back to the rest of the group with their daggers drawn. They're going to rush forward. This one will kind of climb up onto the canoe, and they're going to each just make an attack. So the one at Toot gets a 11 plus, what do they get on their dagger attack? +4? Yeah, so 15, that's probably going to break Toot's AC. Oh, it meets it, so it does go through. So 1d4 points of damage to Toot. Oh my god, we're so fucked. 2 plus, they have a +2, I think, is what it was. Yep, +2. Okay, so Toot takes 4 points of damage, down to 6 HP, as he's blaring and looking back to Wiccan to try and get her attention. As he does that, it's a perfect opportunity for this goblin to scramble up and shank him in the gut. As Toot, maybe you hear for his like actual voice just kind of like call out this really sad high-pitched scream. The other goblin is going to try and stab Wiccan in the back. That's an 8 with the modifier. Not going to hit because Wiccan, I think, has an AC of 13. Thankfully, a 13. God, she's so low on HP. We're in trouble. Okay, so those goblins have went. The other goblins are thankfully in a similar situation to Arthur. They have splashed down into the water. They wear the gear to traverse the ice. They are not prepared to like swim in this water. So they do not have as good of a modifier, I believe, on their athletics, if they even have one at all. Nope. So, in fact, they have a -1 to strength. So, this is good for us. They could definitely be in trouble. They could start to drown here. Voice crack again. So I'm just going to go, the 2 base goblins here need to get a 14 or higher to get out. I rolled a 19 and an 18. Oh, no. So these goblins, maybe they didn't like fall all the way in the water. You know what? This makes sense for goblins. The biggest, heaviest one was kind of like falling first. And these 2 little goblins, being the backstabbers that they are, just kind of like start pushing off of him, crawling up his back, and use him as leverage to get back up onto the iceberg. And then that means the Frost Goblin boss has got to roll his. 14 -1 is a 13. So he will also start sinking down in the water. That is really funny that him and Arthur both had the same thing happen. A spiked goblin boot to the face or off the top of their head has pushed them down into the water. So they're starting to sink and are going to need to get up very soon here. So he'll have to make... okay. Let me think here. So the 2 goblins moved, attacked. Those 2 goblins have used their action to get up on here. I think they're each going to... probably not attack again. They just want to get away from the edge of the ice. So they're going to use their action to dash. So this one's going to jump up here. So our heroes are now flanked by goblins. And the Frost Goblin is going to use his action to try and swim up and get onto the ice and pull himself out here. An 11. He will fail. So he's going to also have to make a Constitution saving throw. They have a +0 to this. 5. Okay, sweet. The tides might be turning. Oh, and he only has 2 HP. A D4 of cold damage could kill him here. Although... they are resistant to cold damage. I do think that is fair for them. So in order to kill him, I'm going to have to roll a 4. Because a 3 would be halved down to 1. You don't round up. So that's a 2. Damn it. Okay, so 1 point of damage to this Frost Goblin boss as he is continuing to sink down into the water. Maybe he even sees Arthur just having this like crazed manic moment of like, I'm returning to the great urchin in the sky, as he's like sinking down. Maybe he's having these like horrible visions of demonic claws kind of coming up out of the water to pull him down. What's the fear of the open ocean? I can't remember, but something like that. And this Frost Goblin maybe is gonna like try and swim towards him to just kill him before he dies himself. So that's it for the Frost Goblins. Toot is gonna finish up. He is in a good spot though. He's got his walrus tusked horn to try and do. I think he's gonna try and do Thunder Wave again. Thunderclap, I apologize. So, I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know why I said Thunderwave instead of Thunderclap. Oh, forgive me. So, he's going to blare through that Walrus Tusk Horn again and force those 2 Frost Goblins right next to him to make some Constitution saving throws. 4, 19. So one will pass. We'll maybe say the one who got themselves back up onto the ice is like very afraid of getting knocked off again. So they're like taking extra grip. They're holding onto the canoe. They're digging their feet down. So they're not going anywhere. But the one with a 4, they will take 1d6 thunder damage, but they're not knocked off. That would be Thunder Wave. So he'll just take, 1d6? We're not able to kill this guy. Nope, he hasn't taken any damage yet. Hey, 6 though. So this guy only has 1 point of HP left. So maybe we'll even say Toot just puts the horn like right in front of his face. He doesn't know, he hasn't quite realized yet that there's a goblin that has climbed up out of the ice and is sneaking up behind him to try and stab him in the back. So he just puts this horn right to the front of the goblin's face and blows through it and probably like rips part of the flesh off, like shatters and breaks this goblin's nose. It kind of rips off one of the ears, rips free, and there's just blood just kind of sprayed up in the air from this goblin who's screeching and howling in pain, but not dead yet. 1 HP. So this could be a pretty make or break it round for our heroes here. Top of the round, Wiccan is up. What kinds of spells can Mrs. Gothfog cast here that could help us? Eldritch Blast, Mind Sliver, Ray of Frost, Burning Hands. Although, oh no, we already used our level 1 spell. Crap. That's not good. Okay, well, there's not a lot to be done then for her. I guess she's down to her sickle. She does have like this, and maybe to play into her idea of this like spirits and ghostly things going on, maybe like the Grim Reaper, instead of it being a scythe to harvest the soul, she has a sickle, because here's a cool idea. Maybe she always grabs them by the throat and just kind of pulls the sickle across their neck. That's how she delivers death. So she will make a sickle attack at this one with 2 HP, try and take one out. So she's gonna roll. She has a +2 to the attack. 15 + 2 is a 17, so that'll hit. Does a D4 for damage. She has no modifier for strength, and sickle is not a finesse weapon, so she doesn't get to add her dex mod. 3 points of damage. So yeah, exactly as I said, as she's finished casting that Burning Hand spell on her previous turn, she moved up here and did, or no, she just did that on her last turn. No, wait, what did she do on her turn? I need to be keeping better track. Hold on, whoa, I'm all of a sudden lost on whose turn it is. The Frost Goblins are the ones who are all attacking. Then it was Toot's turn. Oh, okay, we're at the top of the initiative. That's what happened. A whole new round. Okay, that's what I was confused. So yeah, Wiccan is going to see this goblin scampering up, and as he kind of jumps up, ready to stab, he's just caught, palm to the face, and a sickle silently slits his throat, and he's going to splash down into the water, slain. And his goblin boss will now be filled, or the dark, pitch black almost waters of this Arctic sea are now filled with the red blood of one of his slain goblins. And now he's having all kinds of manic visions of what's going to happen to him upon his death. So, Wiccan, nice kill. Not going to move anywhere, because that would provoke an opportunity attack from this Frost Goblin. Although she is a little low on health, but I think if she can just hang on, maybe she'll like kind of pivot a little bit so that she's not as close to this one. And that will be it for Wiccan's turn. Arthur is up. He has been failing all of his checks. If he does not escape with this one, I think he's pretty much screwed. And I'm going to have him be allowed to make his action to try and get out of the water before he makes his con save. That might be a little out of the normal order, but whatever. I think it's fine here. 19! Yes! Okay, 19. So as he's like looking up, and I described he was maybe having this vision of seeing the urchin, the heavenly urchin that he's going to be returned to. The goblins that were kind of laughing and pointing at him moved away. So suddenly, this vision is kind of cleared for him. He's snapped back into reality as he realizes that's just the sun, and I need to swim that way. And he just swims up as hard as he can, and will running out of breath, almost on the brink of hypothermia. He will get to the top. I will still say he needs to make the save. I wanted to allow him to have the chance to at least get out of the water before he was reduced to 0 HP by maybe a botched save. But he'll make a DC, I think now that he's out of the water, I'll just say to DC 12 con save. That is a 6. So he'll take, I'm going to say, half of a D4. He won't take the full damage because he's not in the water anymore. 1 halved is just going to be 1. So Arthur is down. How much HP does Arthur have? What's our boy working with here? 4, so he's down to 3 HP as his freezing cold body numb. Like he can barely move his arms. And, ooh, does he still have his sword? We might need to see. And he fell in the water. He was swimming. I think it only makes sense he needs to make a dex save. We'll just have that be a base 10 to see if he can hold on to his sword. 19. Okay, so his fingers cold and numb and difficult to move begin to wrap around the handle of his sword. And just like Theoden in The Lord of the Rings, that the familiar touch begins to fill his body with warmth and a drive to slaughter these foolish little goblins that tried to drown Arthur. Proud sword. So he will get back up on his feet to kind of basically end his turn. Well, no, so he moved. He would still have an action technically. I will allow him to probably dash. He's going to run up next to this one to come to Toot's aid, but that will be it for Arthur. That's the end of his turn. Frost Goblins are up. Each one's just going to now basically make an attack at one of these characters. So, whoops. This Frost Goblin up top is going to take a swing at Arthur. 3, that will miss. I think Arthur, just as this goblin goes to swing at him, just catches his arm and brings his sword back to try and gut this goblin on his turn. Toot is going to get a swing at him from one of these Frost Goblins. Nat 1. I think he's going to try and like leap at, I love that image for goblins, just always leaping in the air, trying to get up on the shoulders of their prey, kind of swarm them like insects almost. So as he leaps with a Nat 1, he's going to have to make a DC 12 dexterity save to try and grab onto the boat, or he will slip down into the water again. 11, that will, ooh, I think with their modifier, actually, that will pass. Because goblins have, +2. So he goes to like stab at him, kind of, slips a little bit on some of the water that splashed up onto the boat, but is not going to really move much anywhere else. But he'll still be right in that spot. But Toot managed to avoid that attack. The last one swinging at Wiccan, 17. That will hit. Does Wiccan have, did I give her shield? Does she have that spell prepared? She's out of spells though. Fuck. She didn't have it anyways. So she's just going to take a D4 +2. This could be the end of Wiccan. This is not going to be good. Please, I just need a 1. Really, that's the only way she survives here. We just need a 1. 2. No! Okay. So, Wiccan, kind of as she's like shifting around, trying to get a better angle to avoid that frost goblin, her foot kind of slips out a little bit, and in that moment, the goblin strikes, and just seeing how Wiccan had just split the neck or cut the throat of the other goblin with her sickle, he's going to kind of stab his bone shiv up into her throat, and the fog suddenly kind of clears, and maybe in this moment, like Wiccan's true face, like it's usually like shrouded behind fog, it's very sunken in as part of this pact, but in this blow to her neck, suddenly the old Wiccan, the one before the pact had been made, kind of like panics and starts to try and take her breaths as she's slipping back and beginning to fall unconscious. Technically, by the rules, she is unconscious, but at my table, I kind of like to let players be slipping in and out of consciousness before they're dead, not because they can take actions, but just so that they can kind of like still maybe be part of the role play, still be seeing what's going on, that kind of thing. So Wiccan will fall at the goblin's feet, blood just pumping from this wound. And now we've got one goblin over here, the Frost Goblin boss, who definitely needs to make it out of the water or he is toast. 13 minus 1 is a 12. That does not meet the 14. So I think the party hears like a thud as the Frost Goblin boss tries to slam his big heavy club into the side of the ice to kind of help him pull himself up out. And there's like a moment of fear maybe in Toot's eyes as he waits to see the goblin boss climb up, but he sees maybe one hand reach and then just kind of go limp, and the goblin succumbs to the cold, and being such a small, frail little creature, and will reach 0 HP. So thank God. Goblin boss is dead. One of these goblins is dead. We still have 3 goblins up here. One of our party members is down, and it's up to Arthur and Toot, who are low on HP. Hey, don't forget, go back or go follow the Doom Stronghold Kickstarter coming up soon here in February. You'll be able to get not only this cool map and this image and tons of random tables, but there's going to be images for all kinds of other strongholds that you can use as like a scene style map, the way that I'm using it right now, or just as inspiration to kind of show your players or stuff, whatever. But if you've been having fun, go follow that. Great way to support the church, and also leave a like if you don't mind. Let's come back to the action and see what happens. It is up to Toot. I think Arthur, seeing what is happening, seeing how poorly things are going, knows that it's either like, if even one of them can survive this and escape and claim the stronghold, it will all have been worth it. So he's gonna yell at Toot, "Do it again! Blast the horn!" And he's gonna kind of brace himself, feel, very Drax-esque here, like, "I can take it!" And Toot's like, "I don't think you can take it." But for the epicness of it all, I think Toot's gonna cast Thunderclap again. Is this goblin? I had said they weren't, and I'm gonna stick with it. It's just these two. That, unless it was, well, is there anything else that could maybe help here? Nope, that's his best attack, is just a Thunderclap cantrip. Okay, 2 goblins making a DC 12 con save. They have +0 to this, I believe. Yep, +0. 16 and a 10. Oh shoot, I guess I didn't keep a good track of who was at what. We had one at 1 and one at 5. Oh shoot. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna roll a D6 on a 1, 2, or 3. The 10 will apply to the one with more, or no, 4, 5, 6 is usually yes. On the higher end, that's how I do my yes, no dice. And we want the one who failed to be the one who has more HP so that they take the full damage. So on a 4, 5, 6, yes, 50-50 chance the goblin with more HP failed. 6, okay, great. So the one who passed only has 1 HP. They're gonna take at least 1 point of damage and be killed anyways. The other one could be killed here. Oh my gosh, come on, Toot. Come on, Toot. We need a D6. We need a 5 or higher. 5 or higher. Come on. Whoa, 6. It is a 6. So Arthur, do it, Toot! And he blows this horn. Maybe he blows into it so hard that like the iceberg around him kind of begins to almost crack and split as this sound wave emanates out into the water, just rippling, sending like this thin kind of sheen of mist out all around him. As this goblin, whose nose was already cracked, the ear was ripped off, the whole skull kind of opened from the like scared mouth, and the like open nasal cavity will just be filled with this, and it'll just rip the skull open, kind of just shatter the body and send it flying off into the sea. So let's see, 0 there. Off it goes. This one is going to just get ripped backwards, kind of like probably their neck is just snapped, and that's what kills them. But I think their body's going to ragdoll, launched off of this glacier. They will be down to 0 HP. They are dead. They fall down into the water. There's just 4 goblin corpses just sinking down into the water. Ooh. Here's an idea. Is that going to attract a killer whale to the ice? I'm making this way harder than it needs to be for these level 1 heroes, but that's what makes it so fun. Okay, that was Toot's turn. There's 1 goblin alive. Wiccan is bleeding out, and it is Wiccan's turn, so she'll make her death saving throw. 11, that is a success, so she's doing at least okay. Maybe like as she's bleeding out, she kind of like looks up with her eyes like wide open, still in fear. That's the only thing she can like manage to do with her waning strength. She looks at Arthur, who is walking up behind this goblin to hopefully decapitate him and heal Wiccan. But so that's it for Wiccan's turn. Arthur will do exactly that. He will walk up and just try and send his blade into this goblin's back. Come on, Arthur, fucking do something, dude. Your name's Arthur Proudsword. All you've done is almost drown. Okay. He does still have Divine Favor on himself, so he'll get to do an extra D4 radiant damage if he hits. All we need to do is hit. +5 to the roll. 9 + 5 is 14. I'm pretty sure Goblin's AC, what did I say? It was like a armor class 15? What? Since when? Oh, no. Fuck, that's just short. Oh, and there's nothing I can do. Fuck. Okay. Damn it. Arthur, maybe as he's walking up behind this goblin, the goblin kind of sees the shadow of Arthur, and as he was climbing up, or as the goblin was walking up to start looting the corpse of Wiccan, sees the shadow and just kind of instinctually throws itself low, and Arthur's blade swings past, maybe just kind of cutting off a few of the like bits of like leather and some of the bones that were kind of up off the top of their cowl or whatever, just kind of shears them off. And I feel so angry too, just bellowing rage to try and kill these dudes. Oh, well, no, he's not a fighter. He doesn't have a bonus or an ability to like do another attack. He's got lay on hands. Fuck, that's basically that. Yeah. Damn it. Okay, well, it is the final Frost Goblin's turn. It hasn't been killed yet, or taken any damage. Arthur's at 3 HP. Toot, not looking too good. It's either. I think this goblin's greed and like realizing like, oh, I'm the last one. If I can kill these guys, all of this treasure is mine, and I get a boat. I think it's gonna run up and try and shiv Arthur. Taking a swing. 8 is definitely going to miss. So Arthur, just as this goblin's running up, I think he's going to kind of step forward and bring his knee up and just like run it into the goblin's guts. He's going to like vomit up some fish and some seal blubber that they were eating, and is going to stumble back as Arthur is just foaming at the mouth wanting to kill this thing. Toot is up. I don't think he's going to cast Thunderclap again. Because that would be very spammy to keep doing the same thing over and over again. And also, he's got a downed ally and Arthur on the brink of death. So I think he will just pull out one of his daggers and run up to Arthur's side. He will flank the Frost Goblin. So they will get... I don't know if flanking is still a thing in 5e, but in this instance, I'm going to say 2 heroes flanking a weak little goblin will have advantage. So he's going to try and shank him with his dagger. I rolled a 1 and a 3. Oh my god, okay. I love it, though. It's so funny. I think this is great. So The with the one, it's like he almost loses his dagger. His fingers are numb, slick with blood, and just from the cold, he almost loses it. But with the 3, we'll say being at the advantage roll, he manages to grab it before it falls into the ice and kind of just brings it back to just parry the blow of the goblin, if anything, if the goblin had been rushing it at him or anything. But that is the end of the second round. Wiccan starting up, kind of just laying out. Probably the hand kind of like goes limp, and blood has started to still just pumping, but maybe it's starting to freeze. It's so cold here. That's part of what's maybe playing into the fact that she could survive this, but things are starting to go dark. She did have 1 success. She'll make another save here. 4. That is a failure. I think she will feel the warmth around her. There's like this strange warmth, and for a moment she thinks like, oh, am I okay? Like she opens her eyes to see like, are one of my allies healing me? But then she realizes it's warm because she's laying in a pool of her own blood, and that's what's warming her. And that kind of frightened shock starts to set in, and the failure will tip that scale back towards the middle. So 1 success, 1 failure for Wiccan. Arthur, come on, dude. You've got advantage on the swing. Toot is right there with you. Can you kill this thing? You just need it, cause it to vomit up some fish guts. I'm going to see if he can just bring that sword down. The goblin's still kind of like retching. He's got the nape of his neck exposed. Can he cleave it? Advantage on the attack. 14 with his plus whatever will definitely hit. He's going to deal an extra d4 of radiant damage, plus his longsword that he is equipped with does a d8, I believe. Yep, a d8. So d8 plus 4 plus 3. There should be no way... Oh, yeah, there is no way that this... Oh, no, I'm looking at Arthur's HP of 3. The Frost Goblin still has 7 HP, so we could totally fumble this. Okay, I'm not lying. I rolled double 1s. I rolled a 1 on the d8, and I rolled a 1 on the d4. So that's 2 points of damage, plus 3, so 5. Oh my god. 5 points of damage to this Frost Goblin. Down to 2 left with 7 HP as it's maxed. Arthur will probably, like, swing down with the blade, but he's so cold, he's so angry, he doesn't connect with the neck. Instead, he just kind of sends the blade into the back of this goblin. Maybe in his head, he was like, I'm just going to cleave this thing in 2. I'm not going for the head. I want to just rip it in half. But the thick seal hide and blubber blunts most of the blow, sparing the goblin from a lethal attack. And that is it for Arthur. He has no good bonus actions yet. So that last Frost Goblin, 2 HP left, definitely wants to take out the guy who is the strongest. He knows, like, there's really no way he could survive if he ran. He's on this, like, floating piece of ice. Well, how did he get here in the first place? We'll think about that later. He's alone on this glacier. There's 2 heroes that could take a swing at him if he tried to run away. He could disengage. You know what? Should we leave it up to a dice roll? I think we should. I think it's just going to be a straight 50-50. 1 or a 2. Or the question is, does the Goblin's greed keep them here? Do they want to try and kill these things and get all of this loot for themselves? So that's going to be a 3 or a 4. Yes, it's going to stay. 1 or a 2. No, it's going to try and run away and take disengage as a bonus action. That is a 3. It is going to stay, and it's just, like, with its kind of almost probably broken back. Something is very messed up inside of it. It's just crookedly going to try and send a dagger into Arthur's leg and just sever that artery. Here's the attack roll. 8 will miss. Praise the gods. That Frost Goblin is slowing down big time. It will probably still disengage and kind of hobble up the side of this iceberg to get out of the flanked position. But Toot is up, and you know what Toot's gonna do? Try and blow Thunderclap one last time as they go up the ice. They do need to make that dexterity check to see if they get up there. 11 plus, what does Toot have on their dex? They have a +3. So, yep, without issue, knowing that Arthur the Paladin can lay on hands and heal Wiccan, Toot is going to clamber up here and try and blast this goblin off the edge. So the goblin has to make a Constitution save. Damn it! Saved with a 15 on the roll. So they'll take half of that damage of a d6. We could still kill them, though. We could still do this. So come on, Toot. We need that. What do we need? A 4 or higher? 50-50 chance we kill this thing. 6 again. So that's part of the glacier we talked about had actually already been melted a bit. So maybe this goblin isn't like actually standing here. They kind of climbed up how I described it, like a bowl or like a half pipe or a full not half pipe, whatever. There's like that carved out section of ice. It's kind of clambered up at the very top, just kind of clinging to it, trying to fight this back. And Toot walks up and blasts, doesn't even just like break the goblin's body, but shatters all of the last bit of ice that was kind of clinging on there and just sends the body just skipping out over the water. Holy shit. Okay, so the frost goblins are all dead. Wiccan is on the brink of death. Arthur's not looking too good himself. And Toot is in need of a little bit of healing. But there is no immediate threat. So, I'm going to take a quick pause here, see what might happen here in the next couple minutes, but I'll be right back. All right, I have quickly, just off camera, got everybody back up to max HP between lay on hands, or cure wounds, and some of the different healing abilities that the paladin has and stuff like that. Everybody's basically back up. Oh, Toot, I forgot to actually change Toot's HP, but everybody's at max HP. The threat of the goblins has been dealt with, but to keep suspense, to keep tension going in this adventure, so it isn't just, all right, well, now you guys can watch me have these characters climb up and reach the Skyglacier Keep, right? That'd be super boring. We're gonna roll a D4. This is going to be our timer die. And we're going to assume, just for the sake of making sure that we don't totally screw ourselves, that the party has reached the base of this glacier. And the plan is they've brought the proper gear for this because they came out looking for Skyglacier Keep. So they've got like a grappling hook and some climbing gear and things like that. The goal is they need to get up to the top of this glacier and get a hook on this actual like floating glacier or Skyglacier Keep before it blows away, because that's what this timer die is going to represent. The winds are changing. The morning was spent getting here and fighting these goblins, and now as things are heating up, the sun has risen a bit, just the weather is changing. So in one round, the Skyglacier Keep is going to be inaccessible to our party. The winds are just strong this morning, as howling winds, maybe even the howls of a pack of yetis that have picked up the scent of goblin bloods. Ooh, I like that. Let's go with that. There is a pack of yetis that are clearly on their way here, and the party has kind of one desperate final attempt here to try and reach Skyglacier Keep before it is too late. So, how are we going to do this? There's no initiative here. There's not an immediate, like, hostile threat that can act in between. So the party's just going to have to make the best use of the abilities they've got. Toot does have the jump spell. He used one of his spell slots to cast Cure Wounds off camera. Now he's got one left to cast Jump. So we could keep that in mind. Wiccan has no spells left, and none of their cantrips are going to be much use here. Is there anything in their features and traits that could help? Not really. I mean, Mage Armor is their only thing they have at this low level. So Wiccan is not able to do much. Arthur has Divine Favor, which he cast on himself already. So he's out of a spell slot, so he's got one left. He's got Command, but that doesn't really help us here either. And his Lay on Hands isn't going to do much here. So here's what I'm thinking. Toot is going to be the person of action here. Toot is going to kind of start belting out some little tooty commands or whatever with their ridiculous voice. And the plan is Arthur and Wiccan are going to climb up. Or no, whoops, I have them on the wrong sides. They're going to climb up as high as they can on this ice. And then together drop down on the one side of the canoe while Toot casts Jump to try and catapult him through the air and get to Skyglacier Keep with with the grappling rope and things in hand so that he can lower it down to the party. They've got this one attempt to do this. So I'm going to have Wiccan and Arthur, they are going to make checks to see if they can climb up without losing their grip, because if both of them get up there and both of them are able to drop down on the canoe and send, Toot flying up in the air with a jump spell, that will make the DC significantly lower. It will make it a lot easier. We'll probably put that at, it's still a crazy, ridiculous plan, so probably would be a 12, but if only one of them is up there, that's going to bump it up by 2 to a 14, and if none of them are up there, which is probably how this is going to go, given my rolls here, Toot's going to basically just have to, just hope for a miracle with his jump. Would he be... At the very least, maybe the characters would slip and fall and kind of hit it on their fall down. Instead of being able to put their full weight into it, it's just the weight of their bodies hitting it. So there still will be a little bit of lift, but it'll be a DC 16 for Toot. So Wiccan with a DC... I rolled a 3. I'm not even fucking kidding. And Arthur rolled an 11 with his modifier. He will be able to climb up there. So Wiccan kind of slips and falls off of this into the water. We could even say there's been a lot of like thunder claps going on and all sorts of damage happening here with the winds changing. Maybe part of this glacier is kind of cracked and starting to shift away. So she flips and falls. Arthur gets up to the top. He can maybe even from his vantage point, if he's looking out this way, he can see this cloud of ice and snow, moving quickly towards them. And he realizes the Yetis are coming. And so he yells down a Toot, "Jump!" And he's going to leap off of the side of this cliff, smash down onto the canoe, sending it tipping up into the air as Toot goes flying through the air, the mask kind of billowing with whatever cool, like, weird hairs and things he's attached to it. He casts Jump. So this is just going to be a DC 16. We'll make this an acrobatics check for Toot. I don't think he had a great acrobat. Oh, no, he does. He has a +5. Okay, this is basically, like, what everything has been building up to. The whole adventure was, could they get to Skyglacier Keep? And so much of what could have been happening, like this whole climb up the side of the glacier could have been the bulk of the challenge for the session, but instead it was these damn 5 Arctic frost goblins who really wailed on our party. But now Toot is soaring through the air, grappling hook trailing behind him. Can we get a 14 or higher? Because I forgot. It was DC 12 if both of them hit, but Wiccan fell, so Arthur was there, but it bumped it up to a 14 because there was only one of the heroes. So, more than a 50% chance here. Here we go, Toot. 15 plus 5, that's a 20. So Toot goes soaring up onto the glacier and lands on this like stone or icy stone, whatever, maybe it's masonry that's been carved into this big chunk of glacier ice, but he lands, or no, we'll say to make it even more dramatic, he kind of grabs the bottom of this ladder and is just hanging from it as it's starting to lift up into the air. That was basically everybody's turn. The winds are starting to blow it. I'm going to leave it down to make this dramatic. Arthur kind of landed on the canoe while Toot is getting, grabbing onto this and was flying through the air and it's starting to lower the grappling hook. Arthur steadies the canoe. He's going to help Wiccan up into it. And it's just going to be a matter of, can they row in time to reach the Skyglacier Keep and to reach Toot's grappling hook before it blows away, right? Because the keep has now started to move, and we're going to say that it would not be accessible to any of the characters anymore. But Toot's grappling hook that he's just holding down with one hand, just doing everything he can to give the heroes enough time, will give each of them one last check. So, I'm going to say we're going to leave this up to... they're both rowing, so I'm just going to say that's kind of a combined skill check. Arthur will be taking the lead here, being the stronger of the two. Can he row fast enough to get them there before the Yetis catch up? And then who knows what happens to this party after that, right? But let's make our final roll. The DC I'm going to say is 14 because it's like not just like down here when I had it be a DC 12, it was just like kind of maneuvering it and getting a short little bit of a distance. But here they're trying to cover quite a bit of ground in a very small amount of time. So DC 14 plus 5 on the athletics check. Come on, Arthur. Your life and Wiccan's life depend on it. If this is a 3. It's an 8. Plus 5 is a 13. Oh my god, just shy. That is tragic. So Arthur's, come on, Wiccan, row like your life depends on it! And he's throwing his oars down into the water, moving them as fast as he can. The howling of the Yetis is getting closer. Maybe even like ice flecks and snow are starting to blow over their shoulders and things like that. As Toot is, grab it, like holding down his grappling hook. But Arthur cannot get them there in time. I think in Arthur's being the hero he is, he's going to try and throw Wiccan up onto the rope. There's no way that both of them can make it now, but I do think this final dramatic last roll is Arthur able to save one of his comrades, the one who saved him with the burning hands and kind of took out half of the goblin tribe before, so that they couldn't take care or kill Arthur while he was sinking in the water, right? He's gonna try and save his friend, and if that means facing these Yetis alone and braving certain death, he's prepared to do so. DC 16. It can't just be the same DC. That would be lame. It's got to be even higher. It's got to be more dire of a circumstance. So, can he do this? Come on, Arthur. So he needs, what is it? He has a +5. We need a 16, so he needs an 11 or higher. I'm going to let you guess what I just rolled. Did you guess a 1? Because I rolled a nat 1. That's awful. What a terrible, terrible way for this to go. So as Toot is hanging onto this ladder, he's held the grappling hook down, but he can see there's no hope. He kind of looks up and fear, like this cold, icy fear runs down his spine as he sees the Yetis are all running up the edge of this glacier, and they won't be able to get to him, but he watches as they leap through the air and come crashing down, being like, I imagine Yetis are kind of like polar bears in the way that they are in and out of the water all the time. They're diving down to try and grab a seal before it flees away, right? So they have no fear or hesitation to jump into Arctic waters. So these Yetis leap off, howling and screaming with the winds, and the last thing Toot sees as the keep of Skyglacier floats up into the sky is them come crashing down, and the canoe with Arthur and Wiccan still in it, maybe just kind of clasped, putting their heads together in this final embrace when Arthur realizes, I'm not strong enough. They're looking at each other. It just shatters and sends water up in the air as another Yeti or two splashes down into the water, and everything turns red as Toot escapes with his Skyglacier keep that he now has all to himself. Oh my god. That was crazy. That was so fun. That was basically the first time I've ever done a little solo D&D session. I kind of wanted to just wing it for you all and show you, like, in doing that, like, all the things I said at the beginning, right? This is a video to plug my upcoming Kickstarter, The Doom Stronghold. Go follow that. Please support me with that. It's really helpful if you do that. Even if you have no plans of backing the project, just following it is just a good social cue for, or social proof, right? I would appreciate that. So I wanted to show that off, and I wanted to show the art and stuff, but I also wanted to show you all that it is okay to just throw yourself into it and wing it. Now, yes, I have a lot of years and years of experience as a dungeon master, as a player, that helped me out here to kind of know, like, where did I want to have the DC fall, what's dramatic, what's going to be exciting. But if you've never played before and you're like, I kind of want to try a solo D&D session, like, just fucking go for it, right? Just wing it, make it happen. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're the only one in the room. I'm going to be posting this so you can all watch me fumble through some of these things. I'm sure there were things in my character sheets that you're going to be like, you could have done this and that would have saved everybody. But hey, I think we still told a very cool, dramatic story here. So, thank you all for watching. Go follow the Doom Stronghold. If you watch this, you're like, hey, I don't want to play D&D solo, but I'd love to play in a group. I will say I've got a Tuesday campaign on Start Playing that I'm looking to get up and start running. It's going to be a big mega dungeon crawl on my homebrew setting of the Ark, the Arcane Repopulation Craft. It's this giant planet-sized cathedral drifting through the heavens that the last of humanity is kind of on board and is just trying to survive as long as they can until this Ark reaches the new world, whenever that happens. There are open seats for that, so I'll have the link to that down below. You can go join that. We play every Tuesday. It's $25 a session, and we haven't started that one yet. I've got my Thursday group that will probably I've got one seat left in that one. It might have filled up over the weekend, but I've got the Tuesday group too, and it's just going to be a ton of fun. So those are all great ways to support me. But that's it for me. Thank you all for watching, and we say these things in their unholy names. Amen.